Hello and welcome to Reviews. As always, I'm Plume Noir, and this is my second take of this. Because my first take, I ended up having a huge coughing fit, and I tried to work through it. My water was just out of reach, so the rest of the time I was talking with the gravelly voice thing going on, and I got to the end of the video, it went too long, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to redo the video. Um, Lois Lane. This is Lois Lane number one. I saw the ad for it, I think, in one of last week's comics, and I'm like, oh, I really like Lois Lane. If you talk about non-costumed people in the Marvel or DC universe, I think Lois Lane is probably the strongest female. Without a superhero identity, or supervillain for that matter. She is a great character. A lot of that owes to back when post Crisis on Infinite Earths, when they rebooted everything and they did Man of Steel, and they made Lois Lane basically strong on her own. Um, and they didn't make her pining after Superman. She doesn't need no Superman, but you know what I mean. And she is a hard hitting reporter. She's a hard hitting journalist, and I like Lois Lane. I like the character. So I'm like, okay, this cover here has that kind of film noir feel. I love film noir. Um, except the only coloring besides like the logos, a little bit on the Superman scorch. Okay. Um, so yeah, I'm interested. She uncovered the most dangerous secret in the DC universe. Now she just has to prove it. Okay. Wait, didn't Naomi just uncover the biggest secret in the DC universe? Oh no, no, no. It was just the biggest secret. It wasn't the most dangerous. Um, so yeah, we'll pop right in and we'll see she's typing in a hotel room. We don't see her yet. She's in Chicago. Tap 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 tap. As the cleaning staff comes in, and we get all these news things. She's got the news on. All this White House stuff. Allegations published today. The White House flatly denied the accusation of wrongdoing. Okay, competitive. Excuse me, my voice still going. Combative briefing where spokesperson Leanne McCarthy refused to take any questions from the press. Okay, we got some superhero stuff here. Detained at camps around the country. A decision on the ACLU filing is due this week. At that point, I'm like going, oh no. Oh no. Okay, okay, fine. Maybe it's just coincidence. Hi, JR. You need to step aside. And then I saw this panel where, the clean woman's trying to get Lois's attention, but she's so hard at work on a story. Look at those eyes. But look at her laptop. Oh, this machine kills fascists. Oh, God. Really? Really? I swear to God, I don't think the word fascist has been used more, in the past 5 years than it had in the previous 50 years. Everyone that disagrees with someone is a fascist. I just now noticed. I didn't notice this on my previous read-throughs, but that's not even an exclamation point on the warning side. That's a pen writing. Pen is mightier than a sword. She's a journalist. Haha, get it. So yeah, we still have the news stories going on, which found the president's statements on social media were admissible on the basis of the individual holding public office are accountable to their constituents, which is kind of timely because I think it was just today they said that Trump could not block people on Twitter. And there goes JR. I wouldn't let him walk on the page, so he's going to start slapping stuff. So yeah, that's pretty appropriate, I guess, or coincidental. So she finally finishes her story. Boom. Take that, you self-righteous, arrogant. Yeah. Look at that. Oh, I can see what kind of comic where this is going. So the clean lady's talking with Lois, and she brings up the fact that there's proof of Superman kissing her. Maybe that's going on in Bendis's book. I dropped that, to be honest. I'm happily married. Of course, of course. After all, it was only one kiss with Superman. There's that cocky, more than one kiddo. Yeah, I swear to God, I've seen that exact face somewhere. That exact picture. The actual real life picture. I swear I've seen that on someone's Twitter. Um, yeah, I can't think of who it is. So, anyhow, Perry White calls her because Lois has sent the story to Perry, and he took away her publish button. As he says, I let you go straight to press without a copy edit. They'd make you return your Pulitzers. Do you just turn off autocorrect, Lois? Is that your secret? You could turn it off. I just sort of keep going until it gives up. Apparently, she just can ignore those red squiggly lines in Word. I'm colorblind and I can see those. So yeah, he brings up, bludgeon, by the way, is spelled with a U and not two O's. And collusion only has one U, Lois. Okay. So they're talking about this story that she submitted. By the way, that's one thing. I think I've mentioned this in a previous video. This actually started with the Superman movie back in the 70s. There's a train going by. Lois is a horrible speller, and I love that. It's just a nice little quirk that makes her more relatable. I can't believe there's a train going by here. You can probably hear it. There's a train tracks about a mile away, but sometimes on a good night you can really hear it go by. So, anyway, Perry starts telling Lois about a Russian peer of hers who killed herself. Official story, she threw herself out of her bedroom apartment this morning. Official story, she was suffering from depression. The official story makes no mention of the fact that she was in the habit of criticizing the Kremlin. I know you two didn't get on, but I figured you'd want to know. So, of course, Lois is upset. She hangs up on Perry. And she sits there for a minute, and I'm going to try and go through this. My voice is really cutting out, and JR is being a kind of a jerk right now. She decides to meet up with someone in a parking garage at night in the dark. And she starts off with, you know why Bob Woodward met Mark Felt in a parking garage at 2 in the morning? Pure tradecraft. And she starts comparing how espionage and investigative journalism have a lot in common, and how they're both trying to get to answers, and they do different things with them. I got excited when I saw this silhouette with the coat and the hat. So yeah, it's for some reason she's talking about espionage and journalism, meeting with someone in a dark parking garage so they wouldn't be noticed, and she's talking aloud the entire time about why she's doing that. The whole point is to not attract attention. Anyway, the Russian journalist who killed herself supposedly kept backups of all her information. And she gave the location in case something like this happened to Lois. So Lois hands off the location of the backups and says, bring them to me. Okay, so I'm going to skip a few pages here. Let's cut over to here, because I really want to show the ending. Clark goes and meets up with her, and as they're walking through getting breakfast, Clark overhears someone call Lois a slut. Of course, he's not happy you don't call Superman's girl a slut, right? And, she's just like, yeah, I'm not sure what that's supposed to be. Superman obviously would hear it, but, Lois probably didn't hear it, and yeah, that panel's like, he's looking at her. It's because of that picture of you kissing Superman. I seem to recall Superman kissing me, but it's hard to tell from a photo. And Clark says that I don't like that no one seems to say anything about him. Oh, hon, of course they don't say it about him. Him is a he. Oh, really? Really? I see what you're going for, Greg. I see that. And yeah, there is the whole thing, slut versus stud. Fine, I get it. But let's be honest, the Mary Sue website inside the DC universe, knowing that Lois Lane is a married woman, if they have a picture of Superman kissing Lois Lane, they would be writing articles basically me-tooing him and how he's using his powers to take advantage of this poor married woman. you know that's what would happen. Anyway, I'll let it go. Whatever. Um, they talk about their trust things, and I'm gonna skip a little bit more because we go back to Russia. Um, these people, mob people, I guess, Russian mafia, are trying to find um, where the backups are that the journalists had, and they went to the location. They get attacked by the Question, and as we see, it's Renee Montoya. Now, I like the Question. I like both Vic Sage and Renee Montoya. If you've never read the limited series 52, go and read it. Yeah, it's kind of long. It's 52. It was weekly, but it's got a lot of good writers on it. And, it has Renee Montoya. It has Ralph Dibny, the elongated man. You see, my voice is cutting out. It has Booster Gold. It has Steel. It's so good. All these second and third stringers, and it's good. Go and read that. Don't read this. Actually, go read that. Uh, I could say that about 75% of comics. Hi, JR. I know you want to walk over this so badly. So, Renee fights these Russian dudes. Although I can't quite figure out what's going on in this panel. We see she hits the guy behind her, and maybe if I just let JR just walk on it, maybe he'll just stop trying to get in view here. But in this panel, I can't figure out what's going on. It looks almost like he's bending over to get a good look at her ass. Like he's going to lift up her coat or something. I don't know. So, no, you cannot lay on that. So, as she says that Miss Voronova, the journalist, was telling the truth. Then she holds up a USB flash drive. So, I think I can still keep going. Yeah. So, we cut over to Washington, D.C., which I guess Lois flew to Washington, D.C. She was just in Chicago for a White House press conference here. You got the press secretary here. And so the real question, okay. Yes, I've been wondering if there's any reaction to the piece that was run in the Daily Planet this morning. Haven't read it, haven't seen it. It's the Lois Lane piece. It ran this morning about the refugee camps. Of course it did. And can't comment if I haven't read it. So Lois ends up stepping up and wants to ask about the numbers. We find out that her journalism, investigative journalism, says that all these companies were paid to individual members of the presidential administration in exchange for granting contracts, including $22 million earmarked for quote-unquote tender care camps. And the press secretary says, I'm not going to dignify. Let's take another. And Lois is saying, we're talking about children as young as 18 months. I think you need to answer this question. Answer the question, Leanne. Answer the question. So, see, yeah, we just had the question in there. Another news report says, a remarkable exchange today between Lois Lane and White House spokesperson. When the press secretary refused to answer the Daily Planet, which led to Lois Lane being ejected and the revoking of her credentials. Upon resumption of the briefing, McCarthy again faced questions, this time by other members of the press corps who continued Lane's inquiry. Ends up getting cut short, but yeah. See all that smirking? Yeah. See this? That walk away? This is what everyone on Twitter or on the Mary Sue think they're doing. I just bring up the Mary Sue, but a lot of the sites like that. This is exactly what they think they do every time they submit something. And of course, the name of this issue is Enemy of the People. Oh, God. So there's a lot of little things here. This is a hard issue for me to really review and judge. Because I really like Lois Lane. I like the question. I like where the investigative stuff is going. But it's like that Trump Derangement Syndrome cannot help but seep its way into everything. A lot of the things they talk about here, obviously, the detention camps, the concentration camps, whatever you want to call them, the refugee camps. Yeah, I try not to get too political, to be honest, because I don't just automatically say, oh, the other person has a different viewpoint. They're evil. They're wrong. Now, I have friends that are conservative. I have friends that are liberal. Do I agree with them on everything? No, I don't. But I can see, you know, I can disagree with them. And we've gotten to a point where you can't agree to disagree. They're automatically an enemy of the people. And that's where we've gone to in this point. And that really, really bugs me. The other thing that bugs me is we have all these things going on. I see where they're going with the whole Russian, the journalist that was killed. Yeah, they even dropped the word collusion. You couldn't put any more of a finer point on it. Yeah, we see what you're going through, the whole Trump Russia collusion. The concentration camps. Yeah, this is so anti-Trump. And I'll be honest, I'm tired of it. I'm really, really tired of it. Especially when you consider that in the DC universe, as we see, Renee Montoya is the question. So we know some things from Flashpoint, pre-Flashpoint, are in continuity again. Lex Luthor was president of the United States. Lex Luthor, a supervillain, your husband's arch enemy, was president. And I didn't see you trying to take him down. Okay, actually, she was trying to take him down, but she didn't get a 12-issue maxi series trying to take him down. So I'm torn on this. Face. I don't want to read all these left-wing revenge fantasies of the Trump Derangement Syndrome. Now, they never mention Trump by name, but they don't need to. Obviously, Leanne McCarthy is not the real press secretary, but they don't need to because they're pulling in all these stories that are going on now and then just kind of working in comments about, oh, Justice League, Metropolis. So, what would I rate this book? I would go 3 o'clock. At 3 o'clock, it has some good points, it has some bad points. The thing I worry about is 12 issues. Can this really go 12 issues? What is the biggest, the most dangerous secret in the DC universe? I swear to God, if it's going to be that the president of the United States is like some type of Manchurian candidate for Russia, I'm going to be pissed because that is such lazy writing. That is like the stuff you'd see on Twitter right now. I will be so mad about that. But I don't even know if I'm going to stay all 12 issues on this. I love Lois Lane. I love the Question. I love seeing them, just on their own doing their thing. They don't even need Clark in this book at all. Focus on Lois's life away from Clark. Now, granted, Clark is Superman. He can visit her anywhere, but you don't need to. Have it focus on Lois Lane. But you think about it, 12 issues of this. If it's monthly, if it's not every 2 weeks, it's going to take us pretty darn close to the next election. Are they just going to keep being timely with whatever's going on in the news? They're just going to throw it into the book? I don't know if I can put up with this for 12 issues. So I'm going to give it one more issue. I'm going to give it to issue 2. When that comes out, I'll check that out and I'll decide if this is for me. Because like I said, this whole Trump derangement, the whole this smashes, kills fascists. This machine kills fascists. Does it just? It kills them dead like Raid. Yeah. Like I've been saying, the word fascist has been used in the past 5 years far more than it had been used in the previous 50 years. Because it just now means someone I don't like or someone I disagree with. So, there's a lot of little warning signs through this book. A lot of little red flags that I'm like, okay. If it was 1 or 2, like that whole slut thing, I'd be like, okay, fine. I see where they're going. Okay, fine. This machine kills fascists. But every single news story being almost something taken from the real world is, it's it has, TDS all over it. So, yeah, I'll give it one more issue, and then I'll decide if I'm in or out. So, anyway, like I said, 3 o'clock for this one. 3 o'clock. It can go either way at this point. It is a first issue, so 12 more issues of this. Okay, fine. Let's see, whatever. Oh, by the way, in Marvel, a 12-issue maxi series would just be called a series until it gets canceled, and then it's become a maxi series. So I just figured I'd point that out. Anyway, as always, thanks for watching. I'm going to go drink something, and as always, I'll see you next time.